So it's been about a month since I've begun development of my indie game PRISMA. I thought it could be a cool idea to do a recap video of the past month and of the months to come as well. So let's start from the beginning. I got the motive to begin this project after running into lots of issues with my last project, a game by the name of Peak. I actually have a handful of Devlog videos on it if you'd like to check them out, but I wouldn't suggest it since they're pretty bad. Anyway, I found the idea for PRISMA then being a bit of a breakaway from this project and also something a lot more manageable and marketable. Most, if not all of the footage here is from previous devlogs in the series. I began mostly off camera setting up the basics for the game. This included the tile map, which can automatically orient itself correctly for ease of use, pretty basic player movement, some enemy types, and I had the general sense of the game already planned out well before development began. With the base fundamentals down, I began work on the different features for the game, with a unique one home to each of the 6 different shades of PRISMA. For red, I created a moving enemy that travelled between set points. For orange, I created shooters to shoot bullets at the player. For yellow, this was a bit more interesting. There were objects that once picked up, the player would slowly die unless they got another pickup, which then the timer would reset. I guess I'll just see how this goes when I begin making levels for the game. For green, I created some entire moving objects and walls, and I myself have expanded on this idea of maybe them doing this endlessly. For blue, the player would turn invisible over these certain areas of blue colouring. And finally for purple, the walls of the level would turn invisible instead, whilst the player was over these areas of purple colouring. As mentioned before, the PRISMA shades will include a combination of these elements, and there may also be universal objects that are used in all shades, like spikes. Moving on, this is relating to devlog number 2 now. The Gameloop was beginning to have been developed. I created a pretty basic menu screen, which some of the elements there have changed since then. The shade select screen for the player to choose which shade of levels they'd like to play, and I also made a bit of a start on the level select screen itself. This was a pretty straightforward process, but I did enjoy this kind of breakaway from all the coding side of things leading up to this point. This was all very much design work, a big contrast from the technical standpoint I was in. During this time, I also developed some simple mechanics to transition between the scenes with a simple fade-in effect. Now, the next video I posted on this topic wasn't in fact a devlog, but more of a showcase to present how I developed the game's page on itch.io. This was a lot of fun to do, but not entirely interesting to talk about. If you'd like to hear more about the process itself, I definitely suggest watching the video on that. Please, I need the views. The next part of development looked at the level UI for the game, being able to display timers on screen and the total amount of times the player died once completing a level. This was a combination of both technicality and design, and I did really enjoy this as well. Through the mechanics of the timer counting up once started, the game saved the death counter and the total deaths the player has ever had. These were further displayed in a little card that appears once completing a level, also showcasing the newly created buttons which allow the player to get to menus and different levels. The last devlog I've made since this video is coming out, the 4th devlog, I went through and redeveloped the menu scene a bit more to fit with my vision for the game, and also created all the screens to correlate to these. These included the credits, settings, stats, customization, and achievement scenes, although many of these don't have their full functionality put in place yet. Also, during this time, I created all the other level select screens for the shades of PRISMA. Not a huge workload, but it was definitely good to have something like that under my belt. So, this is where I'm at with my game. A pretty concrete menu system that can be expanded on over time, a very strong vision and direction for the game and how it will be played, and also some fundamental building blocks for each of the levels. I'm hoping to get a demo out sometime in November, but I'm sure you game devs would know the whole process can be quite unpredictable. The next devlog is going to be about the music for the game, but more on that in the videos to come. I'm just going to keep working through this project at this pace, and please leave any of your questions or suggestions for the project down below through Twitter or on my Discord. I really love hearing them and answering them too, so thank you heaps. Thanks so much for watching the video. Bye! Hey everyone, thanks for watching this recap video of the past month of development. If you like what you see and would like to support my cat's ego, make sure to subscribe, and yeah, thanks, bye!